Firstly, I think thank you so much to the Della community for bringing great people together, creating that platform. I think all of us in our own spaces are so accustomed to working with one set of people, two set of people, but different people from different cultures, different geographies, different mindsets come together. That's when real communities are built. So with that, my topic is on customer experience and how in the age of technology, artificial intelligence, what is it that entrepreneurs or people like you and me or anybody can actually learn. So I want to start with something which I was telling ma'am and sir, and I'm so inspired by your story, is that when you feel passionate about something, the glow on your face is very evident. And when I talk about bikes and cars, I think you can see that. 4 wheels move your body, but 2 wheels move your soul. And why I say that, I'm a rider myself. I ride bikes, and I started riding. I think I have 2 brothers, and I saw them riding the RX 100 and the RD 350 when I was really small. And I said, you know, this is exciting, and I want to do it. And I didn't know that I will start working with the machines, and I feel very close to them. I often on a Sunday sit down and kind of clean my motorcycle, wash it myself. It has to look nice, not so much my car, but more my bike. Because the relationship you have with motorcycle is very different. So that leads me into customer experience. I was very fortunate, and I have so much gratitude with people and bosses and mentors I've worked with. They've always taught me one thing. When you think of customer experience and when you think of customers, make their lives simple and convenient. Don't make it complicated. And often as marketers, and I am to be blamed for that, we want to make frameworks which are so complicated, the 6 Ps and the Cs and so many other things which we've been taught in these schools. But when you actually come to the real world, and I'll give you an example. Back in the days when I used to work for Harley-Davidson, and we would do ride from Delhi to Goa. There are customers who were stuck on the road, the bikes are not working, and they would often call us. There were 2 things we always did. One was access to customers. That doesn't mean that no matter you are CEO or you are a CMO or you are CFO, you have to answer to a customer call like you would do when it's your own business. And that you only do when you feel passionate about it. And I think today there are so many startups, and today I am also a part of a startup which is part of the Hero Group, which is the emerging mobility business in the electric space. You have to do everything on your own. You have to get your hands dirty. And that you only do in a corporate setup when you feel that it's your own baby. It's your own product you're launching. It's not something for which you get a salary end of the month and you feel great about it. Yes, you do. Everybody wants that. But every single day, when we are trying to solve a customer's problem is when you feel great. And I remember often, because I've had the good fortune to work with customers so closely, because most of the times my role has been in PR and marketing and communication and product. When you have to make product, you have to sit with customers, you have to have focus groups, you need to understand their pain points. You feel their pain, because often we are customers as well. And with that lens, I've always understood how you can make customer experience flawless across the value chain is not when you sell a product or not when you sell a service. It's actually the post-service is when you make your customer loyal. And whether it's with, when I was working with MG or whether I was with BMW, one thing which often came back to us as colleagues from sales, marketing, after sales was, my tire has a problem, my technology is not working. And then we said that we need to build, and I've often worked with my teams across, that we need to build an architecture or an infrastructure or a platform which technology should enable, and technology often does that. It enables to find a solution, but it's only human beings who can solve that problem. Technology is a bedrock or a platform to enable to find a solution, but we're all human beings. I think the emotion and the empathy part, when that's married with the platform, that's when you can truly produce something which can lead to a better business. And because I'm now in the space of electric mobility, and when we say mobility doesn't mean just two wheels. Mobility, as I understand today, and when most of the entrepreneurs today, there's so many startups in the mobility space, in the EV space today, fashion space, lifestyle space. Della Leader Club itself is bringing so many people together as community. I think it is to understand that customers today are much smarter than brands, corporates, or startups themselves, because when customers are investing their money into something, they do all their homework. They know everything possible on the planet when they walk into a dealership or a showroom or buy it on Amazon or a Flipkart or any other e-commerce platform. And that's where I think seconds matter. And that's what technology does. And what I often tell my teams and myself is, if a customer today lands on my website or a mobile app or a customer app, can I start the journey with the customer where they lost their last path and came on my platform? For example, as a user, if I have I wanted to, pick up a car, and the color I chose was blue, maybe a coupe, like whoever loved the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe. And when I came on their website, my journey actually started from that color and the configuration I had left when I was on maybe a Car Dekho or a Carvale platform. And I think that is when you're solving a customer's problem. You're making their life easy, you're making it convenient. Customers don't have time. They want everything on a click of a button. Second example, I often think what we could build as entrepreneurs or as marketers or as salespeople or as business models, whenever there is an issue with whether it's a product or whether it's an experience or it's service, how can I know through technology, and that's what we're trying to build on the screen, whether it's your customer care agent or it's your after sales person or it's anybody who's talking from the brand side or a startup side, is that I know the customer's problem because of predictive analysis, because there's AI, there's ML being used in your a technology platform, that I can often tell them before that, sir, don't worry, or ma'am, don't worry, I understand your problem, we will fix it in 20 minutes. And that is when the customer really feels good that, I didn't have to tell you what my problem was, and that's what technology does. Maybe not to 100% degree, but at least to 80%, you're able to solve their problems. And to me, that actually is true way of marketing today and true way of creating PR, communication, great word of mouth, because customers today buy a product or an experience through word of mouth. Example, today we're all here and I met Amit, and there's something great I learned about what he's done with Siemens and with Cisco. Briefly, I would love to know him more, but that's the kind of word of mouth helps you build different kind of communities or different kind of things you could potentially build on. What I've learned over a period of time, that technology will help solve problems. Humans will add empathy and emotion through framework, which ultimately leads to a better customer experience. Never a true blue customer experience, because we are so evolving as human beings, products, industries, customers, everything is changing around us. And post-COVID, we've all learned that things will change very, very fast. Every new technology or every new product which is coming in the market is trying to solve for something. And the day we realize, I think as startups, entrepreneurs, marketers, brand marketers, salespeople, business people, that we need to fundamentally understand that we are here to solve a problem for the customer, which can add back to something, adding back to their lives. That's when customers become advocates of great brands. I think that's what I wanted to talk about. That's my last message. And happy to have questions, if any.
We are talking about disruption and we're talking about mobility. And I think there were a few companies in the race, and Hero was trying to come up with, electric scooter. But many companies tried to disrupt it much earlier. And while on the digital space, you see this disruption was appreciated by a few, but you got to see so much of noise on that arena. So, is the noise real, and or is it bad customer service? Your views?
I think the way the mobility space is moving, if you look at Europe or you look at the US, what Tesla has done, or whether the brands like Lucid Motors are doing now, or even GM has done, or VW Group is doing, I won't comment on what we are trying to do because that's extremely confidential. But I would just say that every time there's a revolution or there is change, there's always noise. Right? And noise helps to create more chatter, which makes customers want to talk about that noise much more. But this noise right now is positive and negative both, as you know, especially in the mobility space, because there's so many startups, so many new players, and which is good, who are trying to do so many new things. And if you look at EV, government is trying to do a lot of new things. There are new norms coming from a safety point of view, which I think is very, very important. And big players who've been in the game for a long time, who understand the semantics of how business is done, I think they have something to learn from startups because they can move at a pace. Old players sometimes take time, but when they do it in a right way, and that's what you will see. But in my opinion, noise is good. Any noise, good or bad, is always good because it leads to something new.
Let me add here. Everybody is talking about the e-vehicles, and, e-scooter, and but when you look at the data, the bookings have slid down from all categories to just this much, So if Delhi was converging into 9% of two-wheelers bought, they've now gone back to just 2 or 3% or 4%. So now that is what the noise has done. It has suppressed the category which was galloping. How do you react to that?
I mean, there are a lot of brands I can't quote who are trying to do new things, who are trying to go into the smaller markets and capture more volume and sales. If you look at brands from Bangalore, other brands who've gone into the mobility space, I think the market share has gone much, much better than what it was last month. But that kind of share, as you compare ICE with the EV, is going to take time. But next 10 years, if you see, is actually going to be redefining how people look at mobility. And millennials are one example. If you look at the target group of all these EV players, it's actually the millennials who feel more, who care for the climate today, who care for environment, and we see that because of our research, that who want to own EVs today. And then I'm not talking about just the two-wheelers, I'm also talking about cars. If you look at the ZS which got launched, you look at the Tata Nexon which got launched, you look at the BMW iX which is getting launched, they're all getting sold out. Because of the tax structure being the way it is expensive to own. And there is also that kind of education required, which I think as people, as brands, as communities, we need to educate much more, which is not happening, which needs to happen from government, brands, people like us who are influential. They could value add much more than anything else. So 10 years, the leap of faith is right here.
Let me add to, we are in a transformation stage. One thing which I liked about you, Pallavi, is talking about AI, but unless until you add EI to that is emotional intelligence, it does not humanize that. So this is one thing very good. So I just want to, give you a very small, good case study about what she does about customer service, and it's about Europe. So they used to have this Fiat model, carburetor-run petrol gadi, and they got a very nice complaint one day in their customer service and says, my car hates vanilla ice cream. And it was pretty, amazing to say, but my car hates vanilla ice cream for what? So it came to the system and everyone looked at it, all the people laughed. But the top management won't listen to that nonsense. He says, okay, so what? I mean, if the customer feels the car hates vanilla ice cream, it needs to be investigated. He said, I mean, hell of a thing, go to a small town and talk to this guy and say, why does a car hate vanilla ice cream? Finally, they found one reluctant engineer to go to that town and meet this guy. He says, okay, 7 o'clock when my office is done, you come to my office, I'll take you to an ice cream parlor and you see it for yourself as to why my car hates vanilla ice cream. So this guy takes this guy and he buys vanilla ice cream and they sit in the car won't start. He says, good, see, this is what I was telling you. After some time they do something and the car starts and then they go back. He said, tomorrow we'll buy chocolate. And they go back next day and they buy chocolate ice cream, the car starts. He says, what have you done with your Fiat car? I mean, it hates vanilla ice cream. And then they took this problem back to the factory and then saw that what exactly. So more engineers came and they looked into the design of the ice cream parlor. Vanilla ice cream was being sold the least, it was kept at the back of the store. The chocolate which was being sold more was at the start of the store. And the time taken to get the vanilla ice cream used to create a vapor lock in the carburetor. Right? And then they removed this problem and say, okay, for this we now understand if it stops there at that particular time, there will be a vapor lock and the car won't start. So they redesigned the carburetor so that the car won't hate vanilla ice cream. So thanks to you.
Thank you so much.
All this entire talk about e-vehicles and how they are so good for the environment and how they don't pollute. What most people don't understand, and I think it's a little disheartening that we are not emphasizing on the part that it's not that these cars and these vehicles don't pollute, because when a lithium battery goes into it, there's cobalt, there's manganese, there are different kind of pollutants that are coming out of it. So if the batteries are not disposed of properly, that will probably enter the water, it'll enter our bodies. So these cars, these vehicles also pollute. Of course, if you look at the exhaust pipe right now, yes, it's not polluting, but what has gone into the making of the car, so it's not like a non-polluting vehicle. Yeah. So do you think we're jumping the bandwagon, we're going a little too fast into this with the lack of charging ports? And maybe that is the reason that people are not trusting EV so much right now. Because if I buy an EV today, my first worry is that if I want to go from here to Jaipur, where am I going to charge the car on the way? Yeah. That's probably one of the reasons I don't want to buy it. So just these 2-3 queries.
I think it's not controversial. I think it's basic science and everybody knows that anything you make, whether it's diesel, petrol, or even hybrid or today EVs, there is a composition of things which make all of these vehicles, right? And that's why with EV, Europe and US, of course, have invested and they have so much land mass that the recycling of batteries or recycling of a lot of things can be done. And that's what today big players are trying to do. And I can't quote that, and you will see in months and years to come that how brands are coming together, apart from whichever unit you belong to, but brands are coming together to say that how can we create this for India? Because India is the next market for any big brand. There is nothing outside from a youth point of view, from a population point of view. Our country is the only country where brands can grow, and especially in the automotive space. We also need talent. One is baking, but you also need talent, people who understand this, people who can build this, because you need a sustainable line from your manufacturing end to delivery and then recycle it. So it's not just making the product and deliver it, it's also the mind of people. Talent is the most important thing, I think, right now, especially in this space. We need to make that happen. On the recycling piece, I think we should have a chat on the site. Thank you so much.